In the 1950s, 1/3 of the Inuit population in Canada was infected with tuberculosis, or TB. This was the peak of not only infection of TB in Indigenous populations in Canada, but Canada as a whole, and the peak of hospitalization for Inuit patients. Indeed, in the 1950s, 7 to 10% of Inuit populations in Canada who were infected with tuberculosis were sent away to sanatoria far from their homes. They were in the Arctic, the sanatoria were in southern Canada. And in the 1950s, mortality rates among Inuit populations infected with tuberculosis were nearly 30 times higher than in non-Inuit populations in Canada. So let me get this right. Inuit populations in Canada, an Indigenous population, were infected with a disease. They had mass infections across Canada. They were separated from their families and they were sent away far from their homes. Yet nobody knows about this. How do I know that nobody knows about this? Well, I brought this to my classmates in my 4th year honors level history seminar in university, my undergrad history program. And not very many of them could tell me that they even knew about this. And the few that did know about this couldn't tell me any of the details. Now, I'm sure there are many great historians and many great people who know about this crisis, but I can almost guarantee you that very few people in Canadian society can tell you about this crisis, because my historian colleagues couldn't in 4th year honors. You know, in Canada, we love to talk about reconciliation. We put on our orange shirts once a year. We talk about residential schools. We say the land acknowledgement before hockey games, and that's all supposed to be great, right? Yes, this is important for our reconciliation efforts, but I just say this is just one part of a broader pattern of our history with Indigenous peoples in this country that speaks to the selective memory our country has about what types of events that we remember and what types of histories we remember. So today I want to talk about the Inuit battle against tuberculosis, something that didn't happen so long ago, something that the government was highly involved in, imposed mass evacuations, and had colonial policies. We're going to dive into the history behind the presence of this disease, how the government dealt with it, and how we continue to remember it today. Today, I want to look at this history. I want to look at the way the Canadian government dealt with it and ask, was this a colonial project? Furthermore, I want to look at it from today's perspective to see how we have dealt with this legacy and see what can we do to continue dealing with it.